Young Monli, the school beauty, pushed a black notebook toward me. Lianchi, there's only 1 minute left, hurry up and write. I held the pen, but my fingertips froze midair. In my previous life, at this exact time, it was also this notebook. Young Monli, with reddened eyes, said that we had known each other since childhood. She had obtained a magical wish notebook and, unwilling to use it herself, wanted to give its 3 opportunities to me. Back then, I believed her. On the first page, I wrote, I wish to win 10 billion. The next day, I wrote, I want to be forever young and beautiful. On the third day, I wrote, I want to live for 1,000 years. Then, all the wishes fell upon young Monli. She became rich overnight, remained forever young, and her health was as robust as if she had been given a miracle drug. And I suffered the backlash. At 18, my face was covered in wrinkles, my hair turned white in clumps, and my skin sagged like that of an 81-year-old. My classmates took photos of me and posted them online, saying that the promising student from Tsinghua had suddenly turned into a monster. My parents were so angry they ended up hospitalized. Young Monli, however, took the money I had earned through my wishes and cried in front of the camera, saying, Lianchi used to be jealous of me all the time, and I don't know why she turned out this way. Later, I was cyberbullied, expelled from school, and treated as an unlucky person by my parents and relatives. Unable to accept it, I went to confront her, but she had me dragged to the urban village and threw my ID card and phone into the stinking ditch. I became a homeless woman. On the night before I died, I huddled under a bridge, and several homeless men pushed me to the ground, fighting over the half loaf of bread in my hand. As the back of my head hit the concrete pillar, I saw a luxury car slowly drive past outside the bridge tunnel. The car window rolled down, revealing young Monli's young and beautiful face. She smiled at me. Li Lianchi, who made you so lucky, good grades, and always being compared to me by my parents. What's wrong with me taking a little of your stuff? I died on that winter night. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the minute she shoved the pen into my hand. A line of text, visible only to me, floated before my eyes. Note, the notebook does indeed have a wish-granting function, but it also carries a transfer function. All the wishes you write will be transferred to young Monli. At the same time, you will suffer the corresponding backlash. In the previous life, your appearance aged to that of an 81-year-old, and you eventually became a homeless woman, dying from humiliation by your peers. This life, don't be foolish again. I almost laughed out loud. It turns out heaven really gave me a chance to start over. All right, young Monli, since you're so eager for my wish, then I'll let you have your fill. Let's see in this lifetime, whether it's you who dies or I who lives. 1. Lianchi, there's only 1 minute left. If you don't write it now, it will expire. Young Monli stood beside me, fine beads of sweat forming on her forehead. She was even more anxious than I was. In my previous life, I thought she was nervous because she was afraid I would miss this opportunity. Looking back now, I only find her expression ridiculous. She stared at the pen in my hand and urged, you must write winning 100 billion, forever young, live 1,000 years. As soon as she finished speaking, she slapped the back of her head again. Almost forgot, you can only write 1 wish per day, but it's okay, there are 3 chances, take them 1 at a time. She said it so naturally, as if teaching me how to get rich, but I know she's teaching herself how to get rich. As soon as I wrote the character for I, she anxiously reached up to steady my pen. I snapped the notebook shut with a slap. Monli, what's wrong with you? This is my wish. Why are you more anxious than me? With you interrupting like that, I've completely forgotten what I was about to write. Her face stiffened for a moment, then she softened her voice and coaxed me, I'm just afraid you'll waste the opportunity. Lianchi, this isn't an ordinary notebook, it can truly make wishes come true. I'm only giving it to you because we've known each other since we were kids. In my past life, these words moved me deeply. This life, I only feel sick. Such a good thing, she doesn't use it herself, but gives it to me. What falls from the sky isn't a pie, but a knife. I glanced at the clock on the wall. There are just over 40 seconds left. I pretended to have suddenly thought of something, turned around, and blocked the notebook with my arm. Don't look, I get nervous when you watch me. Young Monli bit her lip and muttered softly, if you won't let me see, then I won't see. After all, anyone would write a wish that benefits themselves. Is that so? Then she's going to be disappointed. Before time runs out, I put down the final stroke. Young Monli eagerly snatches the notebook away. The next second, she freezes in place because it was clearly written above, I want to sleep only 3 hours every day. The color drained from her face instantly. Li Lianchi, are you sick? What kind of decent person makes a wish like that? Aren't you afraid of sudden death? Watching her get so frantic that her voice cracked gave me immense satisfaction. 3 hours, I still think it's Too long. It would be best if she could stay awake until dawn tonight, her head aching until she goes mad. She realized she was overreacting and immediately lowered her voice. Lianqi, I'm doing this for your own good. You've been having trouble sleeping lately, but something as trivial as sleep isn't worth wasting a wish. I lightly tapped my forehead, feigning frustration. It's all your fault for saying time was short. I was originally going to write that I wanted to sleep 13 hours. Every day, I got so nervous that I missed writing a character. That reason is actually true. Lately, I really haven't been sleeping well, not only because of nightmares from my past life, but also because young Monli upstairs practices her runway walk in high heels every early morning. I had warned her, but she said she wanted to be a model after graduation and needed to get used to high heels of different heights now. She's finally experiencing the taste of not getting enough sleep. Quite a fitting retribution. Young Monli was so angry her chest heaved, yet she had to endure it. It's fine, we still have 2 wishes left, right? Tomorrow. Just right, yesterday's wish doesn't count, right? Winning 10 billion the day after tomorrow. I nodded obediently. Okay, as for whether to write or not, that's another matter too. After the first class ended, young Monli lay on the desk, her face already looking unwell. The wish took effect quickly. A faint bluish hue appeared beneath her eyes, as if she hadn't slept all night, yet my exhaustion from last night had mostly vanished. It seems the backlash works in reverse. The less she sleeps, the more alert I become. I had just opened the book when bullet comments flashed before my eyes again. Attention, young Monli, dissatisfied with you writing down your first wish, traded 10 years of her life with an old Taoist priest from Mount Mao in exchange for the love the ugly system. The love the ugly system is hidden in a piece of A4 paper. As long as you write on it, you will be bound to it. Once bound, you will fall in love at first sight with the ugliest person of the opposite sex in your class and publicly offer your first kiss. Afterwards, she would take photos and send them to your parents, making them so angry they ended up in the hospital. I almost snapped the pen in half. In my previous life, she drove me to homelessness and death. In this life, she still refuses to stop. Even my parents were not spared. Young Monli, you really have too long a life. Soon, she walked to my desk holding an A4 sheet of paper. A solid geometry problem from last year is written on the paper. Lianqi, I've thought about this problem for a long time, but I still can't solve it. Can you help me write down the problem-solving approach? In the past, I would have seriously explained it to her, but now, I even feel disgusted at the sight of her. I deliberately raised my voice. Monli, I don't mean to criticize you. Mathematics relies on understanding, not rote memorization. I'll teach you, but you might not understand. Anyway, if the question changes just a bit, you still won't know how to do it. The classroom fell silent for a moment. Young Monli's eyes instantly reddened. She had always relied on her beauty to gain advantages, and was most adept at using this fragile appearance to get boys to stand up for her. Sure enough, Deputy Monitor Lin Qinghe immediately rushed over. He is young Monli's #1 admirer. Lianqi, don't think that just because you're a top student, you can look down on everyone. If you don't want to write it, I will. That's exactly what I was waiting for. The love ugly system cost young Monli 10 years of her life. Letting Lin Qinghe use it, she wouldn't be angry only if she were dead. Besides, Lin Qinghe isn't innocent either. In the second year of high school, the new transfer student had a birthmark on her face. He spoke ill of her behind her back, calling her ugly, and even took the lead in making inappropriate remarks, which drove the girl into severe depression and forced her to drop out of school and return home. He always bullied girls with ordinary looks but shamelessly hovered around the pretty ones. Such a person deserves this grand gift. Young Monli panicked. Qinghe, better let Lianqi write it. Her math is better than yours. But Lin Qinghe had already picked up the pen. He wrote the word solution on the paper. Young Monli's face turned completely white. I lowered my eyes and flipped through the book, pretending I didn't know anything. The system took effect quickly. As soon as Lin Qinghe finished writing the answer, she suddenly raised her hand and slapped young Monli hard. You dare to come near me, you piece of trash. Look at the pores on your face, even flies could live in them. Get lost quickly, don't make me sick. Young Monli was stunned by the blow. The whole class was stunned. Her skin was so flawless that she didn't even have a single mole. She was most often praised for her face now, being publicly called ugly by a sycophant. Tears instantly welled up in her eyes. Sweet, so refreshing. After cursing her, Lin Qinghe still didn't forget to point at me. And you, so ugly I can't even describe it. If it weren't for your good grades, I'd be worried about your future. I coldly raised my eyes. He was about to keep being obnoxious, but the school bully stepped in first and slapped him hard across the face. Shut up. Lin Qinghe was knocked around in a circle and finally fell silent. Soon, Jing Minghan walked into the classroom. Jing Minghan had an unusual appearance and a volatile temper, often throwing tantrums and lying on the ground when things didn't go his way, but Lin Xinghe rushed toward him like he had seen a fairy, and in front of the entire class, he cupped Jing Minghan's face and kissed him. The whole class screamed. Jing Minghan not only didn't resist, but also shyly covered her face. Brother Xinghe, does this mean you like me? Lin Xinghe nodded affectionately. Jing Minghan stamped his foot excitedly. I was originally torn about whether to become a man or a woman after graduation. Now it seems I must become a woman. Me. The bullet comments clearly say opposite sex, but it doesn't matter. Dogs and shit. A natural pair. 3. The next morning, I deliberately arrived 5 minutes later than usual. Young Monli was already waiting by her seat. Her eyes were dark and sunken, her face pale, as if all her energy had been drained. It seemed she had only slept for 3 hours the previous night, but I slept very well. As soon as she saw me, she immediately shoved the wish notebook toward me. Write quickly. There are only 3 minutes left. Writing down yesterday's wish doesn't count. I slowly put down my school bag. I'm not in the mood. Young Monli grew anxious. Who upset you so early in the morning? Don't mess around. This isn't a small thing. I pointed to Zhou Yuanqiao, the sports committee member, who was taking off his shoes not far away. I lost a bet with him on the way to school. The loser has to put shoes on the winner. The thought of his smelly feet completely kills my mood. Young Monli almost cursed out loud. Have you lost your mind? He's the sports committee member. You're competing with him in a race. She could no longer pretend. I sighed. I regret it too. Maybe you can help me put it on. If you help me, I'll write it. Her expression twisted. She was the campus belle, usually pampered by boys. When had she ever done something like this? But she was even more afraid of continuing to sleep only 3 hours a day. Finally, she gritted her teeth and said, Fine, I'll help you, but you have to write it right away. A minute later, Young Monli returned with a pale face and opened half of the classroom's windows. Zhou Yuanqiao's feet are smellier than a dry toilet. If I smell it any longer, I'll grow fungus in my lungs. Holding back a laugh, I spread open my notebook for her to see. She glanced at it for just a moment, and her eyes widened instantly. Lianqi, what did you write? On the notebook, the second wish was clearly written. I wish I had Lin Dayu's constitution. Young Monli trembled with anger. Didn't we agree that yesterday's wish doesn't count? I blinked. When did I ever agree? She suddenly stared at me. Do you know something? Is that why you're deliberately playing with me? Finally guessed it. I smiled and said, Yes, I know. She took 2 steps back, her face showing undisguised panic. How could you possibly know? I said slowly, because anyone with common sense knows that the sky doesn't rain down free pies. Such a wonderful wish book, you didn't use it yourself, but instead gave it to me. Young Monli, do you think I'm stupid? She looked at me, as if assessing how much I actually knew. I continued, but I'll just pretend you're trying to tease me. If it were really that magical, I'd definitely write it. May those who harbor ill intentions toward me fall into a cesspool the moment they step outside. She visibly relaxed. She thought I was just suspicious, unaware of the transfer function. Still, she forced herself to say, It's better to believe it exists than to believe it doesn't. You must write tomorrow that the first 2 wishes don't count. As soon as she finished speaking, she covered her chest and coughed a few times. Lin Dayu's constitution is starting to take effect. She doesn't get enough sleep and is often sickly. Meanwhile, my energy keeps improving. During the afternoon PE class, I, who usually get out of breath after just 1 lap, ran 3 laps in one go. Young Monli ran half a lap before turning pale and fainting on the ground. She was still staring at me intently as she was taken to the infirmary. I smiled at her. It's only the second day, don't rush. The third wish hasn't been written yet. For that evening, the barrage appeared again. Attention, Young Monli has once again pawned 10 years of her lifespan in exchange for the cheat system. The system is hidden within an English word. As long as you pronounce it correctly, it will bind. Once bound, you will know longer ovulate. This was her final transaction with the old Taoist from Maoshan. After the task is completed, I will no longer appear. My hand holding the water cup hesitated. Young Monli is truly ruthless. Disfigurement, humiliation, sterilization. She doesn't want to leave me any way out. Unfortunately, the more ruthless she is, the clearer my mind becomes. Soon, she walks over with a sheet of A4 paper. On the paper, only 1 word is written. Curious. She pretended ignorance. Lianqi, how do you read this? I almost laughed. She thought I couldn't avoid it by switching to reciting vocabulary words. I clutched my stomach, frowning as I said, It hurts a bit. I need to go to the restroom first. When I returned, the English teacher, Ms. Chen, had already entered the classroom early. Teacher Chen is a very kind person, but has had a tough life. Her husband's family is powerful and wealthy, treating her like a breeding machine. She gave birth to 6 children in 6 years and was forced to have a 7th, she wants a divorce, but the other party is threatening her with her parents. Give her the absolute system. Perhaps to help her escape, I picked up that piece of paper and walked to the podium. Teacher, I don't know how to pronounce this word. Young Monley's face changed drastically, and she immediately rushed forward. Teacher, it's me who can't read it. I already know it now. She reached up to grab it. I slapped her hand away. You can, but I still can't. Then read it to me, she froze. Of course, she didn't dare to read it. I handed the paper to Teacher Chin. Teacher, please. Although Teacher Chin was puzzled, he still read it out in a standard manner. Curious, the moment the words fell, nothing changed in the classroom, but I knew the system had already transferred. This time, young Monley had once again wasted 10 years of her life, and I suffered no backlash. No, to be precise, I got the opposite of a backlash. My body has clearly improved that night. For the first time, I felt energetic and clear-headed. Through the floor, I heard young Monley coughing violently upstairs. Her parents were scolding her for being unlucky. I lay on the bed, laughing so hard my shoulders shook. How wonderful, in this life, it's not me who should be losing sleep, nor is it me who should be in pain. 5. The third day was the weekend. Young Monley came knocking early in the morning. My parents had gone to my grandparents' house, leaving me alone at home. Her complexion was even worse than yesterday. With dark circles under her eyes and pale lips, she was only 18, yet already looked like someone recovering from a serious illness. Lianxi, quickly take out your notebook, write down the third wish. I pointed to the laundry sink. No way, the sun is shining today, and my dad's stinky socks from the whole week are still unwashed. Wash 1 pair for $10, 7 pairs make 70. Her vision went dark. How long will that take? Half an hour. No way. She almost shouted it then. She took a deep breath, forcing the anger down. I'll help you wash them, that'll make it faster. I smiled sweetly. Then I'll trouble you for your help. Dad's socks really stink. Young Monley gagged while washing them, tears streaming from the smell. I sat beside her watching, feeling better than ever before. She wanted to disfigure me, sterilize me, and shorten my life. I was being quite polite by asking her to wash a few pairs of smelly socks. 15 minutes later, she finally hung the socks up to dry. She pulled me over to sit at the dining table, her voice trembling. Write it down. No, only 1 minute left. Writing the first 2 wishes doesn't count. I picked up the pen this time. She stared intently at my hand, not even daring to blink. I slowly wrote in front of her. I want a lifetime. She slammed the table. Lianxi, I want you to say the first 2 wishes don't count. What on earth are you doing? I innocently pointed at the clock on the wall. It's too late. She glanced at it and said hurriedly, there are 35 seconds left. If you write fast, you'll make it. I let out a soft oh. I forgot to tell you. I set this clock half a minute fast. As we speak, the time has already come. Young Monley felt as if struck by lightning. She slumped weakly against the wall, her gaze icy and dark. You really do know everything. At this point, I don't even bother pretending anymore. Yes. The moment you gave me the notebook, I knew, knowing that the wish will transfer to you, knowing that the backlash would fall upon me. I know you've prepared the ugly love system and the destiny system for me. Young Monley, do you really think I'll let you control me again in this life? Her pupils suddenly narrowed. This life? I didn't explain. I didn't want to tell her about my rebirth. She doesn't deserve to know. She screamed angrily. Why? Why do you know everything? Why do you always win? I should have been the most dazzling one, ever since I was little. My parents have always compared me to you. You have good grades, your family loves you, and you get praised without even having to do anything. Is it wrong for me to hate you? I looked at her, feeling only absurdity. Your parents' parenting style is problematic. You can hate them. You're not doing well in your studies. You can study on your own. You don't want to be compared, so stay away from me, but you chose to harm me. This is your fault. She suddenly laughed. The laughter was sharp and piercing. Lianxi, do you think you've won? You're celebrating too soon. I raised an eyebrow. Still have a backup plan. The bullet comments clearly said she no longer had any trump cards. Young Monley said triumphantly, you didn't finish writing that wish just now. The moment you took the notebook, our fates became bound. You can make any wish you want, but you can't write only half of it. Otherwise, in 2 hours, we'll all be burned to ashes. Being burned alive is one of the most painful ways to die. So that's what it was. I actually felt relieved. I knew it. Since fate allowed me to be reborn, it wouldn't leave this out at the last moment. I pointed at the notebook. Take a closer look, she sneered. What's there to see? Even if you look 100 times, the outcome will be the same. Despite saying so, she still picked up the notebook. The next second, her pupils widened in shock. On the notebook, the complete wish read, I want to be unlucky for the rest of my life. How is that possible? She rubbed her eyes several times. I clearly only saw you write the first 5 words. I couldn't hold back the smile at the corners of my mouth, because the words unlucky were already written before you came. When I wrote the first 5 characters just now, I deliberately covered them with my hand. According to the first 2 wish laws, the worse your luck, the luckier I become. Young Monley, wishing you good luck for a lifetime. Oh, no. May you have a lifetime of bad luck, she screamed, and lunged forward, trying to strangle me, but as soon as she took a step, her ankle suddenly twisted, and she fell to the ground with a thud. The ground was perfectly flat. Normal people don't fall. The wish has already started to take effect. I looked down at her from above, only just beginning. Take your time and enjoy. 6. Young Monley lay on the ground, her face pale with pain. Suddenly, she grabbed the notebook and began tearing it apart frantically. Why can't I write it myself? Why are all the wishes you wrote being transferred to me? As soon as the words finished, a golden light suddenly spilled out from the notebook. A man in a Taoist robe appeared out of thin air. He looks like an old master, yet he doesn't seem like someone from this world. Young Monley saw him as if she had grabbed a lifeline. Wen Yuyan, it's all your fault. Quickly help me undo those 3 wishes, otherwise, I won't let you off even as a ghost. The man wasn't angry, he just glanced at her calmly. Still playing ghost. If ghosts and gods truly existed in this world, how could so many tragedies in human history have occurred? He turned to me, his tone calm. Let me tell you instead, talking to fools is exhausting. I looked at him. Did you give me the bullet comments? He nodded. You could also say that I gave you the hint for your rebirth. In your previous life, you died too tragically, with too much resentment, and I happened to capture it. I come from 6-dimensional space. This time, I came to Earth to observe why life could emerge at the edge of the solar system. Unfortunately, my spacesuit is damaged, and oxygen is toxic to me. I can only possess a recently deceased old Taoist. I soon understood. Young Monley was the one who approached you back then. If you're bored, just agree to her. Wen Yuyan smiled. Exactly. I do want to see how humans would use desire. She showed me the face of evil. You showed me how to fight back. This play is more exciting than I expected. Young Monley was so angry that her whole body trembled. Are you treating me like a joke? Wen Yuyan didn't even glance at her. He handed me a pen. Thank you for letting me watch this good show to the end. I can give you one more real wish. This time, no transfer, no backlash. Young Monley instantly dropped to her knees and crawled in front of me. Lianqi, I was wrong. Let's say the first 3 wishes you wrote don't count. Okay. We've known each other since childhood. You can't be so heartless. I looked at her coldly. If it's just a notebook, maybe I'll consider it, but you still prepared the love the ugly system and the sterilization system for me. You want to ruin my face, ruin my reputation, ruin my body, and make my parents die of anger. If you don't give me a way to survive, why should I give you a way to survive? Her expression changed instantly, and she immediately tore off her disguise. Lianqi, you'll die a horrible death. Someone like you deserves. I picked up the tape from the table and directly sealed her mouth. She widened her eyes, trying to tear it off. I said calmly, if you dare to tear it once, I'll slap you once. Let's see whose face hurts more, or whose hand hurts more. She finally fell silent. 7. Wen Yuyan handed the pen to me. Write it. Though Young Monley's mouth was gagged, her eyes were fixed intently on me. She must have thought I would write about money, youth, and immortality. To be honest, I'm not entirely unmoved. In my previous life, I was poor and destitute, dying a miserable death. In this life, of course, I also want to be wealthy, healthy, and safe, but I know even better that once human desires get out of control, they can turn someone into someone like Young Monley. I picked up the pen and carefully wrote in my notebook, may there be a time-traveling pawnshop no, 10 on Earth, dedicated to helping people punish evil and promote good. Young Monley's eyes widened so much they almost bulged out. She tore the tape off her mouth and screamed, Lianqi, are you out of your mind? Instead of saving yourself, what are you doing with the 10th pawnshop? I immediately slapped her across the face. A sharp snap. She fell silent. I looked at Wen Yuyan. Human nature is complex. Not everyone is as bad as Young Monley. Kind people are often the easiest to be bullied by the wicked. I hope that in the future, those who have nowhere to turn can have a place to seek help. I hope they don't have to die in a bridge tunnel like I did in my previous life, without even a chance to seek justice. This place is called the 10th pawnshop. Wen Yuyan looked at me for a long time, then he nodded. Whatever you say, I'll leave 50 systems in the pawnshop. As for manpower, I will arrange it myself. I knelt down and solemnly kowtowed once. Mr. Wen, on behalf of those who have been driven to desperation in the past, present, and future, I thank you. When I looked up, Wen Yuyan had already disappeared, the notebook on The table reverted to the appearance of an ordinary notebook. Young Monley staggered to her feet, her eyes filled with resentment, but no longer the air of superiority she had when she first arrived. She wanted to leave. Just as she stepped over the threshold, she stumbled and fell again due to the pain in her ankle. I didn't help her. She clung to the wall and left in a disheveled manner. I sat back in my chair and opened the math exam paper. The college entrance exam is coming up. She's going to have bad luck for the rest of her life. But I'm going to live well. For the next few months, young Monley's bad luck seemed to be written into her fate. She could only sleep 3 hours a day. She would wake up coughing as soon as she fell asleep. Her health was getting worse. She'd pant after just a few steps, and her face was pale all the time. Even worse, every time she tried to harm me, she ended up hurting herself first. She wanted to put a dead mouse in my desk drawer, but was caught red-handed by the dean of students. She tried to hide my exam admission ticket, but accidentally took her own ID card instead. She attempted to spread rumors about me cheating before the exam, but surveillance footage captured her sneaking around and going through my backpack. The school gave her a severe warning. Lynching wasn't faring much better either. After being bound to the love for ugliness system, he became the laughingstock of the entire school. The girls he had previously mocked stepped forward one by one, compiling his past malicious remarks into posts and publishing them on the campus forum. Screenshots of him calling a girl with a birthmark ugly, giving her nicknames, and leading the spread of malicious rumors were all dug up. The school originally wanted to cover it up, but the victim's parents directly took the matter to the Education Bureau. In the end, Lynching lost his position as vice class monitor and his guaranteed admission qualification. The scene of him chasing Jing Minghan all over the campus was recorded and posted on the forum's homepage for 3 days. Young Monley watched helplessly as her admirer became a laughingstock, but there was nothing she could do. She wanted to use public opinion to criticize me, claiming that I intentionally harmed Lin Xinghe. I directly posted the surveillance footage of her coming to me for help with the questions and Lin Xinghe actively snatching the paper into the class group chat. He insisted on playing the hero to save the beauty. I let him have his way. What's wrong with that? No one dared to speak up for her anymore. After all, everyone feared that they might be the next one she would use as a tool. On the other side, Teacher Chen became the only one truly saved in this turmoil. After the absolute child system took effect, her husband still forced her to go to the hospital to prepare for pregnancy. The test results came out, and she could no longer conceive naturally. The man immediately turned against her, but he didn't know that Teacher Chen had long since had enough. Holding evidence of years of threats, forced pregnancies, and salary transfers, she directly filed for divorce. On the first month after the opening of the 10th pawnshop, she became one of the first people to be helped. She exchanged an empty red pen for all the evidence of her husband's hidden assets. On the day the divorce was finalized, she treated our entire class to candy in the office. She said with a smile, "One should not live as a tool for the sake of others." Looking at that piece of candy, I suddenly felt that this wish was worth writing. Her parents finally lost hope in her. "You spend all day not studying, only focusing on these crooked paths. Look at Li Lianqi downstairs. How come she can always get first place in the grade?" She hated being compared to me the most. No, she couldn't escape such comparisons. Of course, she refused to accept her fate. 1 week before the college entrance exam, she came to see me again. This time, she didn't pretend to be the school beauty or the good friend anymore. She cornered me at the stairwell landing, her eyes bloodshot. "Li Lianqi, bring Wen Yuyan out. I want to trade again. I can exchange my parents' lives." Hearing this, I finally realized she was beyond saving. I turned on the voice recorder on my phone and calmly asked her, "What did you say?" She must have been driven mad by the torment, as she actually repeated it. I said, "I can trade my parents' lives for it. They never loved me anyway. They only scold me, only compare me to you. Since they gave birth to me, they should take responsibility for me." I saved the recording and took a step back. "Young Monley, you would even pawn the lives of your own parents. You truly are worse than I imagined." She rushed forward to grab the phone. The next second, the light in the stairwell flickered suddenly. She missed her step and tumbled down 3 steps. She didn't sustain any serious injuries, just sprained her other ankle. But 7 days before the college entrance exam, she could only go to school using crutches. The way she looked at me, as if she wanted to devour me alive. Yet I became increasingly calm. The more she hates, the more it proves I made the right choice in this life. In my previous life, I knelt and begged her to let me go. In this life, she can only watch helplessly as I slowly rot away. On the day of the college entrance exam, I walked into the examination room full of energy. Young Monley, racked by coughing, had a pale, gray face and Could barely hold her pen. The results came out, and I got into Tsinghua University. She didn't even make the college entrance threshold. The day the admission letter arrived at home, young Monley came by again. She had lost a lot of weight, her hair was yellow and dry, and fine wrinkles had already appeared on her face. Only 18, yet it feels as if time has taken an early bite out of me. My parents don't know the whole truth. They only know she's been targeting me everywhere lately. My mother stood blocking the doorway, not letting her in. When young Monley saw the admission letter in my hand, her expression instantly shattered. Lianqi, are you feeling quite pleased with yourself? I nodded. Yes, I studied hard, protected myself, and got into the university I wanted to attend. Of course I'm proud. She was speechless for a moment, then finally said, you could have saved me. You only needed to tell Wen Yuyan to cancel the wish, and I wouldn't have ended up like this. I looked at her. In my previous life, I was 81 years old, bullied online, abandoned by you in the urban village, and finally died under a bridge. Did you ever save me? Her face turned pale instantly. You really? Yes, I really remember. I leaned close to her and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, I remember you sitting in the car, watching me get my steamed bun snatched. I remember you said, it's my good fortune. Young Monley, I never personally harmed you in this lifetime. I simply returned to you exactly what you gave me. She trembled all over, her lips parting and closing. In the end, she didn't say a word and left in disgrace. From that day on, she never appeared before me again. I heard that she later married hastily. The man was 15 years older than her, and his family background was average. Her parents were ashamed of her and couldn't wait to get her out of the house as soon as possible. During my 4 years in college, I never actively inquired about her again. I spent most of my time on studies and rumors about the No. 10 pawnshop. That pawnshop had no fixed location. Some people had seen it at the end of a hospital corridor late at night. Someone saw it at an abandoned bus stop in the pouring rain. Others say that when they were near death, they received a text message on their phone from an unknown number. Are you willing to make a deal? I never actively seek it out, yet whenever I hear of someone using it to escape hardship, I always think of Wen Yuyan's parting words, as you wish. I know my wish was not wasted. After graduating from high school, many around me thought I would seize this opportunity to seek wealth and status. Only I know that what truly pulls people out of hell is never money that falls from the sky, but rather, the chance to fight back, and the confidence to no longer have to endure. After I started college, rumors about the 10th pawnshop began to emerge. Some said that a girl driven to jump from a building by school bullying received a black business card at the last moment. She traded 10 years of her luck to expose the truth about all the bullies. Some say a woman who endured long-term domestic abuse from her husband pawned her wedding ring to gain the courage and evidence to protect herself. Others say the No. 10 pawnshop never helps the wicked. If the wicked seek a deal, they will only be consumed by their own desires. I know, Wen Yuyan didn't lie to me. This world truly has one more path, a path for the kind-hearted to fight back. During the winter break of my sophomore year, I returned home for the new year. At the entrance of the residential complex, I saw young Monley again. She was 8 months pregnant and had been driven out of her home by her parents. The reason was that the New Year's goods she brought back were too shabby. She wore an ill-fitting down jacket, her complexion was sallow, with dark circles under her eyes, looking at least 10 years older than her peers. When she saw me, a complex emotion flashed in her eyes. There was resentment, hatred, and also a touch of belated regret. Later, I heard from neighbors that her life after marriage was very difficult. She could only sleep 3 hours a day, coughing constantly even while pregnant. Her in-laws complained about her poor health, and her husband blamed her for bad luck. She wanted to return to her parents' home, but her parents had already been deeply hurt by her erratic behavior before the college entrance exam. She once sent me a long email. The email contained no apology, only complaints. She said she regretted it, not regretting hurting me, but regretting that she hadn't acted fast enough, failing to force me to write down 100 billion on the first day. She said if she had been tougher back then, it would be her living a good life now. When I read this, I immediately hit delete. So-called repentance is nothing more than regretting that you didn't succeed in harming me. Then there's even less to say. Lianqi. She called out to me. I stopped walking. Are you doing well now? I looked at her. Not bad. Her eyes reddened. If I hadn't harmed you back then, I interrupted her. There are no ifs, young Monley. You could have simply told me the purpose of the notebook. You could have said you were trapped and asked me to help you find a way out. You know my character. I would never stand by and watch someone die, yet you chose to let me die in exchange for your own life. Her lips trembled. Unable to speak, I walked past her. Heading home, snow fell lightly on my shoulders behind me, young Monley began to sob quietly. I did not look back. In my previous life, I cried too. Under the bridge, no one looked back at me. In this life, I am not a saint. I do not forgive, and I do not look back. My world, from now on, is pure and clear, with the sun shining just right. As for her, the wishes come true. She will be unlucky for a lifetime. That was a life she snatched with her own hands, and it was the retribution she deserved to bear, after hearing the first story above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My mom opened a cosmetics shop, but the store only sells one type of honey cream. The honey cream is incredibly effective, comparable to medical aesthetics, and has no side effects. Celebrities and wealthy women are placing orders one after another. With the order queue even stretching into next year, someone offered a sky-high price to buy the secret recipe for the honey cream, but my mom firmly refused. But I know she's a complete novice when it comes to makeup, not even understanding the basic active ingredients in skincare. What's truly effective are the strange flowers she keeps in her bedroom and the boyfriends she frequently changes. My mother is a rural widow with no money or connections, yet she runs a cosmetics store. She raised my sister and me all by herself, bought luxury cars and houses, and even has a substantial amount of savings. It all relies on her exclusive honey cream, and one jar of honey cream costs 1,000,000. Every other day, one jar is stocked in the store, averaging 15 jars per month, with not a single jar more. The honey cream is exceptionally effective. A 40-year-old woman can apply it and rejuvenate overnight, with skin comparable to that of an 18-year-old girl. Countless celebrities and wealthy women are rushing to buy it, but my mom has a strange store rule. Each person can only order one jar per year, and Aunt Lily already bought a jar for my mom half a year ago. Today's unexpected visit brought a smiling welcome from Mom, who thought she was here to introduce a new customer, but when Aunt Lily came in, she was sneaking around, her face wrapped up tightly like a thief. Ling, no matter what you say, you have to sell me another jar today. My mom frowned, quick as lightning, and immediately lifted a corner of the scarf. Aunt Lily's skin was red, swollen, and festering. A large red sore had appeared below the corner of her mouth. Nonsense. Did you use one jar and then secretly use another? Aunt Lily stammered and hurriedly snatched the veil to put it back on. Mother's tone was restrained but filled with anger. She raised her hand to dismiss the guest. I can't sell it to you. Please leave. I gasped in shock. The customers coming in and out of the cosmetics store were all distinguished guests. It was the first time I had seen her lose her temper so fiercely at her own source of wealth. Anyone purchasing the honey cream for my mother had to sign an agreement, promising that the cream was for personal use only. No scalping or reselling is allowed. If she finds out, a high penalty for breach of contract will be imposed. Aunt Lily fell to her knees with a thud. She slowly moved forward on her knees. I was startled and jumped aside to avoid her. Aunt Lily cried bitterly, for the sake of our sisterhood, please help me. You know, my husband has found another woman outside. We're both mothers. You should understand me. If I fall, what will happen to my son? This Aunt Lily is my mother's regular customer. I heard her husband holds immense power and is a noble figure, not to be offended, but my mom wasn't afraid. Aunt Lily's hands were tightly gripping the cabinet door. Please, for the sake of all these years of friendship, help me. Aunt Lily was one of my mom's regular customers. She had referred many wealthy women to the shop. My mother looked at her miserable state and felt a bit sorry, but still firmly refused. Aunt Lily was furious. She had already swallowed her pride, never expecting my mother to be so unyielding. She spoke with a half-threatening tone. Linda, how can you be so heartless and refuse to help someone in need? Don't think I don't know your secret. You've had countless men. Every time you go on a date, there's another jar of honey cream. Who knows what that cream is made of? Then, Aunt Lily suddenly glared at me, and her, if it weren't for me back then, the dirty things you did. Enough. My mother's face instantly darkened, and she gave me a meaningful look. I immediately understood, closed the door and shut the shop, giving them space to talk. Seeing there was room for negotiation, Aunt Lily softened her tone. Don't worry about the money. I'll pay double the price for yours. Okay. My mother didn't speak, her fingers tapping on the table one after another, making a clicking sound. Aunt Lily thought her offer wasn't high enough, so she kept increasing it by 50,000, then 100,000. But I knew that my mother wasn't refusing her out of a lack of compassion. She was saving her. That beauty honey pot could only be used once a year per person, because overuse can be fatal. In this world, there is no shortage of wealthy people. There was once a freelance model who was extremely beautiful. I don't know where she got the information, but she ordered a bottle from my home. After using it once, she couldn't stop herself and secretly found a purchasing agent to buy several bottles in a row. Using it on her face wasn't enough, she even applied it all over her body as a body lotion. Not long after, she successfully attracted a wealthy man with her flawless, delicate skin. She started buying it more and more frequently, and found more and more purchasing agents. The sudden appearance of many unfamiliar faces in the shop alerted my mother, who quickly traced the issue back to her. My mother refused to sell anything to her anymore. The freelance model was indignant, believing my mother was just putting on a facade of integrity, and began spreading malicious rumors about our products everywhere. But without the honey cream, her skin soon began to deteriorate, first sagging and turning sallow, then peeling and drying out. My mother said that this honey cream works on the same principle as consuming ginseng. A person who is accustomed to eating ginseng relies on it to sustain their life, and once the ginseng is suddenly cut off, the person is finished. My mother was right. In just half a year, the freelance model aged 10 years, she began searching for a remedy. She often went to South Korea and Japan for cosmetic procedures, but it was completely useless until one day, she suddenly died, her body rotting and turning into a pool of pus. At that time, she was the only one at the crime scene. The suspect had an alibi, and the police couldn't find any leads, so they had to close the case as a suicide. But I know she didn't kill herself. It was because of this honey cream. The freelance model had cut ties with my family's beauty shop for over half a year, so the police didn't suspect us. My first regular customers naturally didn't know the truth either. I know you must have a way to make one more jar. If it really comes down to it, you can just find a few more men and arrange a few more dates. Aunt Lily gradually became more and more obsessed, completely unaware that my mother's face had darkened. The method of making the honey pot was a top secret, and my mother didn't reveal a single detail about it. I, standing nearby, rubbed my fingers and pricked up my ears, hoping to hear more, but she didn't know much either and stopped talking after a few words. I do have another bottle. Aunt Lily was overjoyed and urged my mother to bring out the honey cream. I lowered my head even further. My mother lied. That honey cream was produced in fixed quantities, 1 jar every 2 days, and all of it was pre-ordered. How could there be an extra jar? Not now. My mother made an exorbitant demand. The money you brought isn't enough. Aunt Lily firmly believed that the extra jar my mother kept for herself must be more effective than the one she sold. In just a short while, she agreed to the high price my mother had set. Before leaving, she gleefully boasted to my mother, "One more child means one more share of the family fortune. The money spent now is nothing but an investment." My mother smiled without saying a word and instructed me to see the guests out. As we reached the corner, Aunt Lily slipped a bracelet off her wrist and forcefully pressed it into my hand. I repeatedly waved my hands, not daring to accept it. "Take it. You're a pitiful child too." Pitiful? I was completely baffled. Aunt Lily patted my hand sympathetically, glanced warily behind me, and hurried off. After leaving those words. Back at the shop, I clutched the bracelet tightly, feeling anxious and uneasy. I am the black sheep of the family. My mother and sister are fair-skinned and stunningly beautiful. Only I have dark, rough skin and a face full of acne scars. Like a toad from the sewer, people talk behind my back. They say I'm the child of a wild man, inheriting my biological father's genes, which is why I'm so ugly. Because of this, my mother favors my sister more, giving all the good things at home to her first. I only get what she doesn't want. My sister is named Rose, a delicate and precious girl like the heart of a flower, and my name is Doggy. I brought a younger brother into the family. Fortunately, I didn't miss out on any basic education. I studied hard and successfully got into Huaqing University. From then on, my mother started looking at me differently. Last year, my sister was driven out of the house because she coveted our mother's secret recipe, and for over half a year, she never sent any news. Feeling guilty, Mother compensated by showering her affection on me. Besides trimming my nails and cleaning the stray hairs and skin flakes in my room, she occasionally made soup for me. For a while, I was overwhelmed by the favor. A mother's love is truly the most nourishing thing in the world. I don't want to disappoint my mother because of irrelevant people and things. I hid the bracelet behind my back and acted as if nothing had happened. "Mom, should we invite Uncle Bob over?" My mother waved her hand. "No need. Bob is one of my mom's recent favorites, scheduled every 4 days. Today is the 3rd day, so according to the plan, it's his turn to serve tomorrow." After every date, my mom takes a jar of honey cream out of the room. So when my mom agreed to give Aunt Lily another jar of honey cream, I naturally assumed that Mom was going on another date. But if Uncle Bob isn't coming, what's going to happen to the honey cream? My mother stretched lazily and slowly made her way upstairs. When she came back down, she was holding a tender leaf between her fingers. I stared intently at the leaf in my mother's hand and silently swallowed. I carefully examined the veins of the tender leaf, trembling with excitement, because this leaf is exactly the same as the one on the airy potted plant I saw in her secret room when I was a child. Our shop is a combined commercial and residential space, with 3 floors in total. The first floor is for business, the second floor has the kitchen and the rooms for my sister and me, while my mother occupies the entire 3rd floor by herself. My mother repeatedly emphasized and reminded me, she warned my sister and me that no matter what happens, we are not allowed to go to the 3rd floor. She said there were many expensive raw materials for making honey cream on the 3rd floor, and we couldn't afford to pay for any damages, so every time the honey cream was finished, my mother would personally bring it to the shop. When I was a child, driven by curiosity, I stole my mother's keys and secretly went up to the 3rd floor once. The entire 3rd floor is about 100 square meters, with a layout of 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. My mom's bedroom is quite normal, with a bed, wardrobe, and dressing table, no different from my own room. The other room has been converted into a walk-in closet, but the last room is mysterious, tightly locked with a large iron padlock. My intuition tells me that this is where my mom's secret is hidden. Where there's a door, there's a crack. I lay on the ground, pressing my face close to the floor to peer inside. Inside the room, there was nothing but a bed, but that wasn't entirely true, because, on the bedside, there was a pot of flowers. According to local customs, it is not allowed to place flowers, birds, fish, or insects in the bedroom. It is said that when people sleep at night, they replenish their vital energy, and having plants placed too close can affect sleep and drain one's energy. The potted plant was unusually eerie, with petals in a purplish-black hue and branches adorned with red patterns. Strangely, this potted plant had very few leaves, so few that they were almost invisible. I desperately tried to memorize the appearance of this flower later. Until I went to high school and college, I searched through library materials and Baidu Encyclopedia but found no information about this flower. On the same night I sneaked into the 3rd floor, my mother sensed something was wrong and immediately spent a large sum of money to replace all the locks on the 3rd floor with high-security bank-grade anti-theft locks, and I never had the chance to go in and investigate again. I have a feeling that the secret of my mother's honey cream is hidden in this pot of flowers. I've tried the cream you made. The scent and texture are no different from what's sold in stores, but the effectiveness is a bit lacking. I shuddered all over, immediately pulling back the hand I had reached up to take the leaf. My mother is very wary of others coveting her secret formula. Even her most beloved sister was driven out of the house for peeking. I stammered. My face flushed as I explained, "Mom, I didn't mean to. I majored in cosmetics in college, and I need to complete a graduation project. I just wanted to use the honey cream as a reference." I was on the verge of tears. The job market for college graduates is so competitive these days. If my mom gets angry and kicks me out, I don't know what I'll do. My mother chuckled lightly, patting my cheek. "What are you afraid of? I only have you and Rose as my children. In the future, the family business will definitely be handed over to you." I licked my lips and cautiously looked up. My mother was very proud, with a hint of mockery. "Crush this leaf and add it to the imitation you're making. In 3 days, Lily will come to pick it up, and you can just give it to her." After saying that, my mother stepped out in her patent leather heels, click-clacking as she prepared to leave. My heart was pounding wildly, and the suspicion I had been hiding in my heart was finally confirmed. Summoning my courage, I asked, "Mom, aren't we ruining our reputation by selling counterfeit goods?" My mother turned to look at me with a half-smile. "Don't worry, it's not a fake." I couldn't help but curl the corner of my mouth, but my mother's next words quickly brought me back to reality. "However, it's not the real thing either. You don't need to test me." I lowered my head, not daring to speak. "When you turn 26, I'll tell you naturally." My mom threw 10,000 yuan at me. "After you finish, take the money and buy some good wine and food. Your sister will be home soon." Holding the money, my heart felt sour. After my sister ran away from home, Mom rarely cooked, apart from the weekly stew. It had been a long time since I had eaten a meal she prepared. That night, I had a dream. I dreamed of a rushing river, my mother and I sitting in a small boat. The water stretched as far as the eye could see, with sunlight sparkling on the rippling surface. I felt warm all over, comfortably nestled in my mother's arms. Suddenly, the water turned dark and sticky. Dark clouds covered the sky, and the wind howled mournfully, like the wailing of resentful ghosts. The small boat couldn't move at all. I watched helplessly as the entire river turned into cream, with milky white lotion churning and surging, spilling over the boat's edge and piling up at the bottom. As the sweet cream submerged my calves, I panicked and screamed, "Mom, save me!" Arms held me tightly, the nails turning black and growing long. I was tightly held in the embrace, unable to escape. The smell of death rushed straight into my Nostrils, Mom, I could barely breathe. I'm Doggy. The arms suddenly loosened. I gasped desperately for air, oxygen flooding my lungs, and I finally came back to life. The female corpse had no eyeballs. Its eye sockets were dark and hollow, with rotting insects crawling in and out, making me nauseous. She tilted her head, as if confused. Doggy. I was terrified, my lips trembling as I slowly backed away. You're not my mother. Who are you? I was terrified. The female corpse opened its arms to hug me, and I desperately refused. She let out a sharp scream. I know, the scream pierced my eardrums, and in that life or death moment, I leaped down into the water. The female ghost was terrified, using both her feet and hands in a desperate attempt to save me. Just before I was submerged by the sweet frost, I heard the female ghost roar with unwillingness. Sarah, you are my Sarah. Sarah, don't be afraid. Mommy is coming to save you. Huff. I woke up instantly, in the middle of the night. The room was pitch black. I raised my hand to touch my cheek, only to find it wet with tears. Sarah. I covered my chest. Who is Sarah? A faint trace of envy stirred in my heart. That child named Sarah must be very happy, right? My mother is jealous, competitive, and holds grudges over the smallest matters. Once, because she couldn't stand my homeroom teacher knitting a scarf for me, and I secretly gave a greeting card to the teacher on Mother's Day. In a fit of anger, she reported my homeroom teacher to the Education Bureau. She accused the teacher of neglecting her duties and not focusing on teaching, nearly causing my caring homeroom teacher to lose her job. Because of this, I cried for a long time. From childhood to adulthood, I never had a single new piece of clothing. I always wore my older sister's hand-me-downs. In the cold winter, the sleeves of my cotton coat were too wide and didn't block the wind, leaving me with a runny nose from the freezing temperatures. My homeroom teacher took pity on me and specially gave me a goose yellow scarf. The yellow color was so warm, like a sun, one of the few sources of warmth I felt during my childhood. After my mother's big scene, the teacher was transferred from their original position, and my situation at school became even more difficult. Neither the teachers nor the students were willing to get close to me. I was like a rat in a stinky gutter, despised by everyone. After I became an adult, I requested to change my name. The name Doggy is too awful. I can't stand the strange looks from others. My mom immediately exploded in anger. She raised her voice, her tone sharp and shrill. You ungrateful brat, I should have drowned you in a filthy ditch back then. Don't even think about changing your name. If it weren't for you, my child would have been born long ago. You're the one who should have died. How dare you still live? You should pay with your life for my son. Her eyes were filled with venom, and her words were incoherent. I couldn't understand a single sentence. My sister lipped panicked and, for once, stood by my side. She rushed forward, tightly covering her mother's mouth, pleading with her. Mom, please stop talking. I beg you, stop. I choked back tears, the grievance in my heart no longer containable. If you hate me so much, why did you even give birth to me in the first place? As the words fell, she suddenly deflated like a balloon and collapsed weakly. I gave birth to you. Ha ha ha. You're saying I gave birth to you? After a moment, she burst into hysterical laughter, raising her arm toward the sky as if venting her emotions. Ha ha ha. You've come to this day too? Good. You've come to this day too. I can't remember what happened after that. I only know that my sister desperately dragged my mother back to the room. At first, there was an outburst of arguing in the room, followed by the sound of my sister struggling to calm her down. And then it gradually quieted. When my mother came out of the room, it was as if nothing had happened. I refused to accept this. I studied hard, vowing to make my mother see me in a new light. My family made a living by selling honey cream, and from a young age, I developed a strong interest in it. After the college entrance exam, I was admitted to Huaqing University with the top score in the province, majoring in cosmetic technology and engineering, with the university as a platform. I was fortunate to have access to various brands of skincare products, but no matter how expensive the brand or how rare the ingredients, their effects are not even 1% as good as my mom's face cream. Through imitation, I managed to achieve a texture and scent that were 90% similar. However, the results were always unsatisfactory. Later, I secretly scooped a bit of the face cream and brought it back to school, using lab equipment to analyze the ingredients of the cream. But the composition table that was tested is unusually chaotic. I have never seen anything like it. To be safe, I hid some information and sent the report to my mentor. Little did I know, my mentor told me that, based on the composition table, what I had tested was not an extract from the plant, but the plant itself. In short, this honey cream, it has life. The mentor believes this is simply a miracle and hopes I can conduct further research, but I am afraid the secret of the honey cream will be exposed. If exposed, I, my sister, and my mother will all face eternal damnation. A common man's only crime is possessing a treasure. I made up a random excuse to reject my mentor and destroyed the initial report, which ended up offending a big shot in the industry and got me blacklisted. And now, the secret of honey frost is right in front of me. I immediately started the experiment. I took a sample of the imitation honey frost mixed with leaves and sliced it, but when the ingredient list was printed out, I was very disappointed, because this imitation product is completely different from the genuine one. I told my mom about this. My mom mocked me. "What are you afraid of? Could she possibly smash my store?" I expressed my concerns, and my mom got impatient with my nagging. "If she really wants to pursue responsibility, let her. You'll be the one to bear the consequences if something happens." My heart sank. The money earned from the honey cream doesn't include a single penny for me, but the legal representative of the shop is me. If the customers really cause trouble, I'll be the first to take the blame. "I've supported you for so many years. It's time for you to repay me." After saying that, she turned and left. Tears welled up in her eyes, as resentment and bitterness fermented wildly in her heart. When Aunt Lily came to pick up the goods, I was the only one in the shop. Aunt Lily was wrapped up tightly from head to toe. As soon as she entered, she grabbed my hand and said, "Where is the thing I want?" I guiltily pulled my hand out of her grasp. After not seeing her for 3 days, her skin had aged rapidly, and beneath her bright red nails were pus-filled sores the size of beans. The place she had touched carried a foul, sour stench. "Give it to me. Bring it here." Seeing my hesitation, she screamed at the top of her lungs, as if this were her life-saving antidote. I gritted my teeth and took the imitation honey cream out from the counter. Although the texture and scent of this honey cream were similar, the ingredients were different. My heart is uneasy, afraid that Aunt Lily might notice something wrong. As soon as Aunt Lily got the face cream, she couldn't wait to scoop a spoonful and apply it to her face. An astonishing scene unfolded. The areas where the cream was applied became as smooth and tender as a baby's skin. The previously old and dry patches disappeared, replaced by a delicate and supple texture, almost like that of a young girl. Aunt Lily murmured in a daze, slathering the cream on her face as if her life depended on it. Yes, this is exactly the effect. Wonderful, I'm finally saved." Before long, Auntie Lily had applied it all over her face. Her skin became radiant and glowing, even more beautiful than before. However, the areas below her neck that weren't applied still looked quite terrifying. Aunt Lily was beaming with joy, repeating the same praises over and over, her words full of admiration for our shop. "I knew your mother values relationships." Aunt Lily smiled and said, "That's more like it. The customer is always right, especially when they're a regular, don't you think so, girl?" She gave me a pointed look. "When you take over from your mother someday, you can't be like her. Girls these days just don't know any better, running off to get cosmetic procedures. How can that compare to the traditions passed down by our ancestors? My husband used to have a mistress who died because of cosmetic surgery. Isn't that ridiculous? Oh, by the way, you probably know her. She even came to your shop to buy honey cream. I heard she was some kind of freelance model. What good is being young when you end up dead anyway?" Aunt Lily was in a great mood and chattered away, telling me a lot of gossip. She and Mrs. James are sworn enemies. To annoy her, Mrs. James introduced a wild model to her husband. Afraid the model's skin wouldn't be smooth enough, she specifically recommended our honey jar. Who would have thought she ended up dead later? Aunt Lily clicked her tongue and said, "I wouldn't go for cosmetic procedures even if you beat me to death. The thought of cold machines poking and prodding at my face scares me just thinking about it." I couldn't make out what she was saying at all, only feeling my head spinning. How could this imitation bottle with green leaves have the same effect as the genuine one? I tentatively asked, "Aunt Lily, do you feel anything else when you apply it?" She snorted coldly. "How could there not be? I've been using honey cream for at least 10 years, and this is clearly different from the previous ones." My heart jumped to my throat, and I didn't dare to breathe. "But it feels like this bottle is more effective." Auntie Lily leaned closer to me and asked mysteriously, "Doggy, is this a new product developed by your family?" A month later, Aunt Lily died. She died in a miserable state, her body rotting all over, with bones exposed at her knees, hands, and feet. The most terrifying part was the location of her skull. The skull is the hardest part of the human body, difficult to penetrate even with an electric drill, but her skull had been forcibly drilled through, leaving a hole. It was as if something had taken root in her brain, forcefully breaking through the bone from the inside. I rushed into my mom's bedroom, my voice trembling as I asked her what we should do. This was already the second person to die because of honey frost. Saying I wasn't scared would be a lie. I urged my mom to stop. My mom scolded me for being useless. "What are you afraid of? You're so timid, not even as strong as your sister." My mom swayed her hips and squinted with a smile. "Besides, who said she died because of the honey cream? What if she was fooling around outside and got killed by one of her lovers?" My mom patted my shoulder and said, "Don't you think so?" I was trembling all over, as if standing in an ice cellar. I get it now. My mother was taking revenge on Aunt Lily just because of one sentence from Aunt Lily. She would harm a human life. I was trembling all over, as if standing in an ice cellar. All right, don't overthink it. My mom waved her hand, signaling me to help her move things. I mechanically stepped forward and pulled out an ancient, pitch-black flower pot from under her bed. The flower pot had intricate patterns and a faint scent of blood. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed another flower pot under the bed, but that vase was very small, entirely crimson, with a red paper seal on top. What are you looking at? Hurry up and follow. I never expected that just one glance would provoke my mother's fury. She grabbed my ear and threw me to the ground. You worthless piece of trash, itching for a beating even for a single day. Amid her furious scolding, I silently picked up the flower pot and followed behind her into the secret chamber. As soon as I entered the secret chamber, a wave of cold, damp air hit me. Mom shuddered violently, her teeth chattering uncontrollably, and yet, the moment I stepped into the room, I felt a wave of comfort wash over me, as if a long dormant vitality had suddenly come back to life. My eyes immediately fell upon that strange flower. The fragrance was rich, and with just a few more breaths, I felt completely refreshed. I stood there, staring blankly at the strange flower. Deep within, a strange voice continuously calls out to me, come. Involuntarily, my hand reaches toward the strange flower. What are you doing? Mom scolded sharply, and I jolted awake. No. I haven't seen this flower before. It's very unusual. She snorted coldly. Trash will always be trash, so uncultured. My heart feels sour. Clearly, I am also a child born from you, so why insult me like this? And Mom, her mind isn't on me at all. A flash of red light flickered, and the strange flower suddenly emitted an intense crimson glow from within. Mother was overjoyed, muttering deliriously, "It's done, it's finally done." Following her gaze, beneath the massive flower lay a tiny bud. The stem of the tiny bud was as thick as a little finger. Suddenly, I thought of Aunt Lily. The hole in her shattered skull was exactly as thick as the stem. The crimson glow was emanating from it. Mother carefully held the flower bud and praised, "The rich really do have precious lives. Even the flowers they produce are better than ordinary people's." After saying this, she shot me a venomous glance. I was inexplicably looked down upon again. At once, the moment the flower bud appeared, the largest flower in the center suddenly straightened its stem. The petals were layered one upon another, and the stamens slowly secreted a milky white liquid. The liquid was as smooth as silk, gentle as jade. I've studied honey cream for over a decade, and I can't be mistaken. The liquid secreted by these stamens is the honey cream sold in the shop. I never expected that honey cream would be the sap secreted by these strange flowers. Mother skillfully took out a complete set of knives from the drawer and carefully scraped off the honey cream. Honey cream slowly secretes from the flower stamens, then gently scraped off with a small knife. When enough is scraped, it becomes a whole jar of honey cream. But this jar of honey cream is a bit different. The lotion is slightly yellow, with fine golden light blended into it. It looks 100 times better than the previous honey cream. Mother's expression is frenzied. Good. Another jar of golden honey. Jessica, you didn't expect this, did you? Besides your family, I've also managed to grow these flowers. Haha. What else do you have to compete with me? I frowned. Who is Jessica? Vaguely. I feel like I've heard this name a long time ago, and this name seems very important to me. Seeing that she couldn't hide it from me, she simply told me everything. My mom said this flower is called Dream Girl, loves to feed on the essence of male and female union. It was unearthed from underground when the foundation for the house was being dug. The day Mengnu was discovered happened to be her birthday. My father planted the flower in a pot and gave it to my mother as a birthday gift, but they never expected that this flower had aphrodisiac effects. As their relationship grew stronger, the flowers bloomed larger and larger, until one day, the flower actually secreted a sap. My mother applied it to her face, and her skin became more radiant day by day. At that point, they realized that this flower was no ordinary thing, it was more like a demonic entity. Moreover, my father's health was deteriorating, and he was growing weaker, which only strengthened their belief in this speculation. My mother took charge and buried the flower in the cellar. Aunt Lily was one of my mother's regular customers and one of the few people who knew about my mother's background. My mother was a rural woman, yet she was strikingly beautiful. Her skin was firm and smooth, with delicate jade-like fingers, and despite having given birth to 2 children, there wasn't a single wrinkle on her stomach. Aunt Lily, who values beauty above all else, grabbed my mother's hand on the street and said, "Sis, where do you usually go for beauty treatments? I want to go too." My mother, feeling a bit shy, admitted outright that beauty treatments were too expensive and she couldn't afford them. Unable to get the answer she wanted, Aunt Lily kept pestering my mother. My mom, unable to shake off her persistence, gave her a small jar of face cream. Aunt Lily tried it and exclaimed in amazement, willing to pay a high price to buy it for my mom. My mom initially refused. Aunt Lily boldly tossed out a stack of red bills, a full 10,000 yuan, and my mom was tempted, because my father is seriously ill and bedridden, our life is stretched thin, and this 10,000 yuan is enough for our family's expenses for nearly half a year. My mother finally agreed and instructed Aunt Lily to come pick up the face cream in 3 days. For the next 3 days, as soon as night fell, my parents' room would be tightly closed, followed by the creaking sound of the bed shaking. 3 days later, Aunt Lily came to collect the goods as promised. I tried the face cream on the spot, was satisfied with the results, paid, and left. From then on, my parents got a taste of the benefits from selling the face cream and couldn't stop themselves. The more they sold, the more my father's health deteriorated. He couldn't hold on for more than 3 months before my father passed away. When my father died, relatives came to mourn and noticed his face was withered and sallow. They gave my mother a harsh scolding. She was scolded for indulging in her own pleasures every day and neglecting her own husband. My mother kept pleading her innocence, but at that time, her face was flushed like a peach blossom, and her eyes were full of emotion. Thanks to the long-term nourishment from the face cream and my father, no one believed her pleas of innocence. The relatives were furious, calling my mother a loose woman, and together they drove us out of the village. After leaving our hometown, the three of us, mother and daughters, relied on each other for survival, making a living by selling face cream. My father's tragic incident served as a warning to my mother that face cream couldn't be produced without restraint, otherwise, it could lead to death. This is also why she frequently changed boyfriends. A normal man simply cannot withstand being a provider for an extended period of time. To avoid the tragedy that happened to my father, my mother goes on dates from time to time. This allows the dream girl to continuously absorb life essence. She is two-timing, on one hand ensuring a stable and mass production of honey cream, and on the other hand distributing the pressure among her providers. Suddenly learning so many secrets, my mind became chaotic and I couldn't gather my thoughts. This was completely different from the education I had received over the past decade, and my sister wasn't driven out of the family because she coveted the secret recipe, but because it was the initial test set by my mother. If a chosen man is supported for more than a year, even if he doesn't lose his life, his body will become weak. There are too few good men in this world. It's a shame to ruin them, but there are too many bad men. Their deaths are not worth mourning. My mother told her to choose her targets. Only men who are bad enough can be selected as providers, but mother didn't live to see that day. My sister brought her new boyfriend home, and they were as sweet as honey. She pleaded with our mother. Mom, I don't want to inherit the shop. I love Eric, and I want to marry him. No, my mother firmly refused, and my sister cried out. Why? My mother glared at me. Because I'm your mother. I said no, and that's final. My sister, with tears in her eyes, stared back at our mother unwillingly. Her boyfriend was sitting upright on the sofa, nervously looking around. I brought a cup of tea from the kitchen and took the opportunity to close the conference room door. Brother-in-law, have some tea? The man nodded, and as the steam from the hot water spread, his glasses fogged up. I took the chance to learn about their love story. The one my sister brought home was a male graduate student. It said they met at a KTV. Following our mother's instructions, my sister was searching everywhere for bad men. They're hard to find in ordinary places, but those who hang around KTVs are generally no good. Because of a minor conflict, my sister was almost beaten up. It was this young man who saved her. He works as a bartender in a bar to pay for his tuition. He had noticed the girl early on, a young woman who always hung around groups of men, and kindly offered her a word of caution. Later, when she actually got into trouble at the KTV, he was the only one who stepped in to help. Over time, the two of them developed feelings for each other. She came out of the meeting room with reddened eyes, unwilling to let go of the man's hand. You finally came home, and you won't even stay with me for a couple of days. My mother pretended to wipe away tears. The man felt awkward and tried to persuade my sister. Well, maybe you should spend more time with your mom. It's not a big deal if we go back a little later. My mother gave a half smile, her eyes lingering on the man. The man's cheeks flushed red under the intense gaze. No, my sister immediately. Damn. She glanced at my mom cautiously, a bit scared. As soon as we get the household register, we'll leave right away. My mom threw me a key and told me to clean up the storage room on the first floor for the man to use as a guest room. My sister wanted to speak up to stop it, but my mother shot her a glare that silenced her. During dinner that evening, the atmosphere was strange. The man's gaze toward my mother was sticky and flirtatious, carrying a somewhat ambiguous undertone. Meanwhile, my sister was clearly preoccupied, keeping her head down and focusing on her meal, completely unaware of the underlying tension. After finishing the meal, my sister mysteriously pulled me into the room. Little sister, do me a favor, and I won't fight for a single penny of our mother's inheritance in the future. Her eyes were evasive, and she kept begging me. My eyelashes fluttered slightly, and I didn't say a word. My mother has always favored my sister since we were young. My sister was her first child, and when she was born, my mother and father had a very good relationship, pouring all their love and care into my sister. But as soon as I was born, our family encountered a sudden change. My father passed away early, our ancestral home was taken, and the three of us had no place to call our own. Deep down, my mother doesn't like me. They think I'm a debt collector. Seeing my refusal, my sister's expression grew increasingly anxious. She looked at me, hesitating to speak. Our family has accumulated millions in assets through the honey cream business. If my sister doesn't compete with me, this fortune would be enough for me to live a carefree and extravagant life. But I wasn't blinded by the sudden wealth. Strange flower dream girl. It's simply unbelievable. Moreover, I always had a feeling that the dream girl wasn't as simple as Mom made her out to be, or rather, Mom was hiding a very important secret. What happened to the big hole on Aunt Lily's head? How did the strange flower suddenly sprout buds? What is the other black jar under my mother's bed? My sister sobbed. I truly love him. I just want to live a good life with him. Nothing else matters. I know that what my sister referred to as other means Ms. Huang mother loves my sister dearly. I think my sister must know even more secrets. Perhaps this is a breakthrough. Then why don't you stay in the shop and marry him? Mom loves you, and the house and car are not an issue. A single jar of face cream can sell for 1,000,000. As long as my sister isn't greedy and produces less of the honey cream, even if they only sell 2 jars a year, they can still live a comfortable life. My sister shook her head, her expression grave. You wouldn't understand. Do you know why our family doesn't have a younger brother? My sister said bitterly. Once you start providing for the family, a man can no longer have children. Her words hit me like a bolt from the blue. Since men lost their ability to reproduce from the beginning of providing, how was I born? My heart was pounding in my throat. I have a bold guess. The reason my mother treats me so poorly might be that I am not her biological child at all. And what she told me about the dream girl was all lies. My sister didn't noticed that something was wrong with me. She begged me to steal the black jar from under my mother's bed and give it to her. The black jar was sealed with red paper, making it easy to recognize. Before she came home, Mom had already asked me to bring out the black flower pot. It seems my sister came back in such a hurry that Mom hadn't told her yet. I pretended not to understand and deliberately asked her, Sis, what's in the black pot? She refused to say. I won't force her. I just tell her that if I don't understand the truth, I won't easily help her. My sister gritted her teeth, made up her mind, and decided to tell me the secret. This black jar contains special soil for cultivating flowers. I retorted, soil. Before my eyes, Mother moved the flower bud into the black jar. My sister wasn't lying. But what does special soil mean? My sister continued to explain. The dream woman feeds on human essence, but she only recognizes one woman. When the flower bud has just been transplanted, it requires the most essence. Therefore, soil cultivation must begin in the early stages of transplantation. At regular intervals, bury the hair and nails of the provider in the soil, firstly, to increase the spiritual energy in the soil, and secondly, to allow the dream girl to recognize her master. Once this flower successfully recognizes its master, the bond with the provider can never be severed for life. It lures the provider to mate, supplying it with nutrients. However, once the provider stops mating, they will suffer the backlash. Sister knew that Mother had long been preparing to cultivate the soil and grow flowers for her. If that black flower pot wasn't destroyed, Mother would transplant the dream girl without her consent. If she couldn't provide for it, she would be devoured by the dream girl in return. She broke down crying, her voice cracking as she pleaded, Sister, please save me. I don't want to die yet. I understand now. It turned out that buried in the black flower pot were her sister's birth details, along with strands of hair and skin flakes. The intention was for the sister to take over her legacy and continue running the beauty shop. But what about the small red jar hidden under Mom's bed? That jar was tiny, no bigger than a palm, with both ends sealed tightly using talisman cloth, whose birth date is sealed inside there. I deliberately pretended to be very scared and repeatedly promised to help her steal the flower pot. My sister breathed a sigh of relief, taking advantage of her unsettled state of mind. I asked a few more questions. My sister was being vague, clearly not wanting me to know. She kept brushing me off. When Mom discovered the dream girl, I was still in elementary school. It's been so long, I can't remember clearly anymore. After several exchanges, she realized she couldn't fool me and casually made up something to brush me off. I heard that Mom found Mengnu while plowing the field. Ah, why are you asking so many questions? It's been So long, there's nothing worth talking about, just remember to help me steal the flower pot as soon as possible, the less you know about the rest, the better. Interesting. Mom said that Lady Meng was discovered while digging the foundation to build a house, but my sister said that Meng Nu was encountered while plowing the fields. They are trying so hard to keep it from me. Perhaps the origin of this Meng Nu is related to me, I think. Perhaps I should go back to the village, late at night, in the room. I can't sleep. Suddenly, I heard the creaking sound of footsteps on the wooden stairs. The footsteps continued all the way to the third floor before gradually fading away. Just a moment later, the sound of a man and woman's sweet, flirtatious laughter came from beside the bed. I closed my eyes again, pretending I hadn't heard anything. Early the next morning, I asked my mom for a day off. Using a class reunion as an excuse, Mom waved her hand, too busy to pay attention to me. Eric's gaze was fixed on Mom, whose face was flushed, and their feet were secretly flirting under the table. With the help of Baidu Maps, I transferred buses twice and finally arrived at the village entrance. Hey, Linda, the old man widened his eyes, put down his hoe, and said, sorry, little girl, we mistook you for someone else. Linda is my mother's name, but I have small eyes, a big nose, and a face full of acne. I look completely different from my mother, who is as beautiful as a fairy. How could they possibly mistake me for her? Are you here for a trip, young lady? In recent years, the village has undergone major renovations. The rural cultural development has been well implemented, attracting many college students to come for inspiration and travel. The old man chuckled warmly and enthusiastically invited me. Come, let's go to my place for a cup of tea. The village has a simple and honest atmosphere, with the locals greeting each other warmly as they pass by. Involuntarily, the frustration in my heart gradually dissipated. The old man brought me home and hospitably poured me a cup of tea. During this time, his mother also returned home. When she saw me, she was greatly surprised. She asked me if I had a relative named Linda. I didn't put on any airs and found the family photo of my family. The old woman pointed at my mother with a strange expression. You said she is cooling. I nodded. The old woman's expression grew even stranger. The old man didn't speak, puffing on his pipe. Meanwhile, the old woman shuddered, muttering Amitabha Buddha under her breath, and quickly went to the shrine to light incense and pay her respects. May the Bodhisattva bless us with peace and safety. May the Bodhisattva bless us with peace and safety. I didn't expect it to be like this. The old man looked at me strangely, almost as if he was about to chase me out. I was both shocked and scared, quickly pulling a few hundred yuan from my pocket and handing it to the old man. After several rounds of polite refusal, the old man took out a worn-out photograph. In the photo, two girls stood hand in hand on a ridge in the field. The picture was already very old, and the main focus wasn't on the two girls, but their faces could still be vaguely made out. Those two girls unmistakably had the faces of me and my mother. I was horrified, feeling a sense of absurdity as if time had been distorted through the photograph. This girl is very beautiful, the prettiest in the village. Her name is Jessica. Jessica, my breath caught. My mother's furious curses from that day still echo in my ears. Jessica seems to be my mother's mortal enemy. My heart aches as if pierced by needles, forcing me to stay awake and listen to the rest of the story. In the village, the most beautiful woman and the prettiest girl became good friends. The Miller family was a nest of women, with each daughter born more beautiful than the last. However, every man who married into the family died within 3 years. But to die under the peony is to be a ghost with style, and with the Miller family's wealth, half the men in the village wanted to marry into the family. Linda and Jessica are close friends. Some clever boys started having ulterior motives. They would offer small favors to get Linda to help deliver love letters and put in a good word. Over time, Linda developed feelings for one of Jessica's suitors, Edward. Later, it became clear to everyone in the village. The two sisters had a conflict. Linda began to imitate Jessica's every move. She used the same floral fabric to make clothes and wore the same hairpins, but she was too ugly, and the villagers mocked her for being a copycat, like a toad. From then on, Linda and Jessica completely broke off their relationship. At this point, my uncle's eyes grew misty as he carefully studied my face and sighed. Alas, in the end, it's all just a tangled web of fate. After Edward and Linda got married, they had a baby girl. Jessica remained single, stubbornly refusing to marry. Even though matchmakers in the village wore out their thresholds trying to persuade her, she wouldn't budge. Just when we thought the Miller family line would come to an end, Jessica suddenly became pregnant. Her belly grew bigger day by day, but no one knew who the father of the child was, and during that time, Linda seemed to have a sudden pang of conscience and often visited the Miller family. Everyone thought Linda was there to take care of Jessica, but Jessica's complexion grew worse day by day, while Linda became more and more beautiful. I had a bad feeling and hurriedly interrupted the old man. Then where is Jessica? The old man stared at me blankly and said, she's dead. Jessica is dead. She gave birth to a baby girl. That day, Linda brought a child home, claiming it was her second child with Edward, but everyone in the village knew her belly had never swollen. That child was most likely Jessica's. I was thunderstruck. From this moment on, the truth about my origins finally came to light. I stood up and urgently expressed my desire to pay respects to Jessica. The old man, seemingly oblivious to my impatience, sat as still as a meditating monk. He motioned for me to sit down, flipped through the photo album, and then handed me a photograph. He tapped his fingers on the table, faintly conveying his anger. Look, who is she? I frowned. The woman in the photo appeared to be in her 20s, with Jessica's almond-shaped eyes and red lips, but like Linda, she had a long, square face. I shook my head. I don't know this woman, the old man said. She is Linda. I widened my eyes. This couldn't be possible. How could a person's facial features change so drastically in such a short amount of time? After Jessica died, Linda grew more and more beautiful, gradually taking on Jessica's likeness, but the child she brought back went from being plump and fair-skinned to dark and emaciated. The old man pursed his lips, suppressing his anger. We suspect that Linda used that child to exchange for her life. Led by the old man, I found Jessica's grave. He pointed at the grave mound with his smoking pipe. Her grave was buried by Linda. After the two of them left the village, I didn't allow anyone to touch this grave. The answers you seek are all hidden here, from beginning to end. I never told the old man about my origins, and the way he looked at me, there was a hidden admiration beneath his affection that was hard to detect. I smiled, and asked him, old man, at your age, with children and grandchildren already, you should relax and enjoy life a little. The old man sensed the probing in my words. He responded generously, by seniority, you should call me uncle. I've never had children in my life, nor have I ever taken a wife. The old man solemnly took out a cloth bundle from his chest, carefully unwrapped it, and revealed a silver hairpin hidden inside. The silver easily oxidizes and darkens, but the one in his hand was bright and white, clearly well maintained. He said that since it was our first meeting, this hairpin would serve as a greeting gift. Before I knew it, my eyes were brimming with tears. Trembling, I picked up the silver hairpin. Its touch was warm and smooth, and just holding it in my hand brought me a sense of peace. The old man patted my shoulder with relief, tears streaming down his face. Sarah, you're so beautiful, just like she was in her youth. Go, take back what is yours. I personally dug up Jessica's grave. My fingers were connected to my heart, digging until they were bloody and mangled. I don't feel any pain at all as I frantically dig with my head down. Just as I was about to despair, I finally discovered a hand bone. Carefully, I cleared away the surrounding soil and unearthed the entire corpse intact. The body was completely decomposed, the skeleton curled up. Jessica must have suffered inhuman pain before her death. There was also a broken flower branch beside the corpse. It's the dream woman. I instinctively looked at the skull of the corpse, where a hole the size of a finger bone was clearly visible. This hole is exactly the same as Aunt Lily's. The truth of the whole matter finally came together in my mind. My biological mother is not Linda at all, but Jessica. That dream woman was not discovered by Linda by chance. She is a family heirloom of the Miller family. Rather than calling dream woman a family heirloom of the Miller family, it would be more accurate to say that the entire Miller family is an offering to dream woman. Under the influence of the dream woman, the Miller family has given birth to girls for generations. The girls are charming beauties, never lacking suitors. This way, the dream woman can continuously obtain the life essence of both men and women for sustenance. Jessica, being kind-hearted, knew that any man marrying into the Miller family would have his life essence drained and die prematurely. She was unwilling to marry and wanted to start from her generation, taking the dream girl down with her. After Edward married Linda, he still couldn't forget Jessica to satisfy her husband while also getting revenge on Jessica. Linda drugged Jessica into unconsciousness. By a twist of fate, the dream girl was activated, and Edward became the first source of nourishment. Men who support dream girls lose their reproductive function. However, the survival mechanism of the dream girl prompts Jessica to become pregnant. Meanwhile, Linda discovers the secret of the dream girl. She pressures Jessica into revealing the wondrous uses of the dream girl. She takes the honey cream home and applies it every few days, gradually becoming more beautiful. In order to continuously obtain the honey cream, she aided and abetted the villain, repeatedly bullying Jessica. Jessica grew increasingly haggard. Linda's transformation not only caught the attention of the villagers but also attracted Lily. Aunt Lily was willing to pay a high price for the honey cream. At this moment, Jessica was about to give birth, and Edward was very excited. He declared that if Jessica gave birth to a boy, he would immediately Divorce Linda. Linda immediately became alert. She secretly vowed to eliminate Jessica. At the same time, she wanted to cultivate her own dream girl. She began to plot in secret. As Jessica was about to give birth, she realized the opportunity had come. She mixed the leaves of the dream plant into the water and tricked Jessica into drinking it. The hole in Jessica's skull was the mark left by the sprout of the dream plant. I was overwhelmed with grief and pain. I knelt on the ground, carefully arranged my mother's bones with my own hands, and covered them with soil. I was never Doggy. I am Sarah. I am Sarah. Don't worry, Mom. I will avenge you. Back already. When I returned home, Linda glanced at me disdainfully. Her eyes, however, brimmed with tenderness as she looked at Eric, turning into a pool of softness. I sneered inwardly. The honey cream produced by the dream woman can only improve one's skin texture, but it cannot change facial features. Linda dreams of having Jessica's beauty. She regularly collects my nail clippings and blood essence, wrapping them with red thread and sealing them in a jar. Changing the body and fate alters one's physical appearance and fundamentally transforms their luck. I am my mother's daughter, so naturally, I look like her. Linda gradually took away the beauty that belonged to me. As for me, with my dark skin and acne-covered face, I am a complete replica of Linda. She nourishes Rose with honey cream, so although my sister inherited her facial features, after long-term use of the honey cream, her skin became delicate and snow-white, and even her small eyes had a unique charm. Nurturing a dream woman inherently depletes one's essence and blood. Linda wanted to gain the wealth brought by the honey cream but was unwilling to bear the consequences. She used a method to alter her body and fate, secretly mixing my aura into the dream woman's soil. Once she becomes old and faded, without the nourishment of a man, that dream woman's backlash would drain my essence and life. Vicious, so vicious. Since she cares so much about me, I should repay her in kind. Where is the jar I told you to steal? After dinner, Rose cornered me. She viciously twisted my shoulder, leaving a bruise on my arm immediately. Don't think that just because I asked you for a favor, you've forgotten your place. She slapped me and yanked my hair hard, making my scalp ache. If I don't see the jar tomorrow, you'll be sorry. I pretended to be scared and quickly agreed. I pretended to hesitate, then said with a troubled expression, "Today is the 15th, so Mom has her usual date. She usually stays upstairs for about an hour." Rose was momentarily stunned, then nodded in satisfaction. I managed the entire cosmetics store all by myself, and I know my mother's whereabouts like the back of my hand. Rose felt both excited and jealous, but her infatuation left her no time to think about anything else. Her mind was completely occupied with how to elope. After finishing the meal, Eric, with his charming peach blossom eyes, gave a flirtatious glance and secretly hooked Linda's little finger while serving the rice. Linda lowered her gaze, afraid that her sister would notice anything amiss. She made up an excuse and sent her sister out. Her sister didn't notice their little interaction. Our plan was set for the evening, and she didn't want to alert anyone, so she obediently went out to buy things. Eric's gaze towards Linda grew increasingly sticky. One glance full of lust, two glances full of admiration. Men have no resistance to charming, mature women. What's more, Linda is beautiful and wealthy. Eric came out of the kitchen with a bowl of rice, and his chopsticks playfully brushed against her hand. I pretended not to see it and kept my head down, eating my meal. Linda enjoyed this thrilling kind of affection and couldn't help but let out a contented sigh, scolding Eric in the tone of an elder. "Becoming our son-in-law isn't easy. Come here, let Auntie give you a proper lesson." The two of them didn't even bother pretending in front of me. Eric is a shrewd one. The day he arrived, he knew I didn't hold much status at home. Linda's words were like imperial decrees to me. "Little sister, close the door properly after you finish eating. Rose rarely comes home. Let her spend more time wandering the streets." Warm breath brushed against the earlobe, damp and disgustingly moist. Linda was displeased and suddenly pushed my head, causing it to slam against the table with a loud thud. "Don't talk to her too much. She has a dirty disease." Linda gave me a sinister glare. Eric didn't dare to make a sound and quickly followed her upstairs. I felt neither sorrow nor anger, swallowing the last bite of my meal with an expressionless face. Then, I took out my phone. "Sister, come back quickly. Brother-in-law suddenly made Mom angry, and she wants to kick him out." When Rose rushed home, the scene on the third floor was full of springtime passion. Linda was wearing black stockings, and both of them looked ecstatic, flying high with pleasure. Rose worried about Eric's safety and rushed up the stairs 2 steps at a time. Just as Rose was about to kick the door open, faint sounds of a man's teasing laughter came from inside. "Baby, you're so beautiful, much more exciting than that blockhead." Linda giggled, still calling me Mom. Rose was driven mad and kicked the door open. When she entered, the two were naked, wrapped in a bedsheet, and took a moment to react. Rose picked up a wooden stick and started hitting the bed recklessly. Linda screamed in shock, loudly scolding Rose for being unfilial. Meanwhile, Eric casually grabbed a bedsheet to cover his lower body, claiming that Linda had seduced him. Caught between the two, Linda was furious. She grabbed whatever was at hand and threw it at Eric. "You shameless dog of a man. It was you who climbed up to the third floor, you irresponsible scumbag." The scene descended into chaos. I pretended to panic, acting as if I were trying to mediate while secretly getting closer to the fierce woman. I took out the eyebrow razor I had prepared earlier, sliced my palm, and let the blood drip into the flower pot. In just an instant, the flower lifted its head high, and a strong floral fragrance instantly filled the air. With just a slight whiff, I felt my whole body grow hot and my vision blur. After finishing all this, I quickly exited the room, locked the door, and went downstairs without looking back. When the upstairs was completely silent, I dialed the emergency number. By the time the police arrived, Eric was already dead beyond any doubt. The wooden stick in Rose's hand was identified as the murder weapon, and she was handcuffed on the spot. Linda, as an eyewitness at the scene, was also taken away. As the one who reported the incident, I followed the police car to give a statement. According to reports, the mother and daughter fought violently over their affection for the same man. The daughter, dissatisfied with her boyfriend protecting his mother, struck the man on the head and groin with a wooden stick, causing his death. The woman involved was taken into custody by the police. However, what is puzzling is that Rose inexplicably died in prison just before her departure. Her death was horrifying. A large hole was drilled into the center of her skull, as if a plant had burst through the bone. Years later, in the city center of H City, I stood by the Riverview, holding a glass of wine, with the dazzling Oriental Pearl Tower standing before me. The large bed behind me rustled softly. "President, you're up so early." I slightly turned my face, my stunning features making the man gasp. "You can leave. There's no need to come back from now on." The handsome man choked back his frustration, got up resentfully, took a stack of cash from his assistant, quickly gathered his personal belongings, and left the mansion. What he didn't notice was that the moment he stood up, the potted plant on the windowsill closed its petals and fell silent. "Mister, the woman in the basement refuses to eat again," I sneered. "It seems the food doesn't suit her taste. Find a few more men for her to choose from." Yes, extra story. The dream girl newly born from Rose's skull was planted by my side, and I, feeling sorry for Linda who lost her daughter in middle age, kindly brought her to live with me to support her in her old age. I know she likes cute young guys, so I spent a fortune finding all kinds of men to please her, but she's never satisfied and looks down on the college guys I carefully picked for her. She said she'd rather die than help me make honey cream. Well, I had no choice but to find some strong, sturdy men instead. I know how it is with women. They say one thing but mean another. Unwillingness is simply a matter of taste. Just change her taste, and everything will be right. Beggar, migrant worker, it's hard to find a toad with 4 legs, but men with 2 legs are everywhere. But I'm not as foolish as she is. When Rose was sentenced, she was also fined $500,000 for selling unregulated products. I can't follow in her footsteps. With all the proper procedures in place, I opened a large cosmetics company and established a high-end beauty salon. I incorporated honey cream as a core ingredient, adding small amounts to the skincare products manufactured by my company, because the amount added was minimal. The curse of being able to use only 1 bottle per year was naturally broken. This added ingredient is already more effective than the vast majority of products on the market. Consumers are amazed by the effectiveness of our company's skincare products and are purchasing them in droves. I'm making a fortune. I spent a large sum of money to visit individuals with extraordinary abilities and quickly broke the life-swapping curse that Linda had placed on me. I returned to my original appearance and went to update my ID photo. The staff at the window marveled at my beauty, comparing it to my previous photo, and asked where I had gotten plastic surgery and how it could look so natural. I smiled, looking at the new version of myself on the ID card. I finally had the courage to change my name to Sarah. This way, I wouldn't disgrace my mother's reputation as the village beauty. On my second return to the village, I wanted to see the old man again, but his house had long been in ruins, with no one living there for ages, and beside my mother's grave, there was an additional tombstone. The tombstone had no name, but I knew it belonged to that old man. I moved both graves and found a favorable spot to bury them side by side. The inscription reads, "Here lies Jessica, beloved mother, with respect from her daughter Sarah. Here lies a friend of my late mother, with respect from Sarah." After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.